Testing. Let's show him it. Let's go out. Okay.
There's people talking. At work.
At work, we talking about the young guys at work that just be bringing it up.
They were talking about Illuminati and all these people devil worshipers and
Talking like Jay-Z and all of them.
Yeah. I'm hearing Jay-Z devil worship, and I'm hearing I just see a lot of people devil worshipers and just like Jay-Z and what happened to Michael Jackson and how he was part of Illuminati at one time and he cleansed himself to be out of it and then he wanted to, then he died. Like whoa. And then we said that the others who killed him. You know what I'm saying? And usually when I think about who killed him, I want to think about like, okay, it was just, okay, maybe, you know what I'm saying, yeah, that's lies. To me, I took it like personal, like, yo, you know what I'm saying, I feel like that's what happened, When I hear certain things, you know what I'm saying, besides just what that couldn't happen, most of my mind is, it probably did happen. It probably did happen. Who I am, where I'm from, you know what I'm saying, where I actually come from, things like that always trigger in my head. Always. You know what I'm saying? Just like a lot of the stuff ain't make sense to me.
Yeah.
A lot of it just doesn't.
Well, that's pretty wise of you, man, to always say something could happen or it's possible. Because I mean your mind hadn't shut down and just decided that just one thing is what it is. It actually could be more to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that helps open your mind up to some other possibilities, to wanting to stir yourself into maybe some new knowledge that's out there that you haven't heard yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so always remember, not everything is always absolute.
Yeah.
In this world. It's always like their story, their side of the story, the other side of the story, and then one in the middle that nobody is telling.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? That you have to investigate for yourself and find out what really is. You know what I'm saying? And usually there are facts and lies on both sides of the spectrum.
Yeah.
You just have to filter through it and figure out what sounds more realistic and common sense and spiritual to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So what's let's get to some of these wild questions though, man. You asked me on the job that hopefully these guys can help you out with.
No, I never do that. It's all in your head, imagination.
Yeah.
We'll start with some of the simple ones, and brother Ito, you
Let's see. This your boat?
No.
What does that say? I can't hardly see that.
Just pulled light and clear, it had a very good year. So anyway, I thought about the people when they were giving a course on how to store this scotch to maintain its quality, the one in the picture there. They said the gentle rolling of
The slip in the lip.
let it stir it, in other words. So once you see it up there, hey. But if you're trying to build something, and you have to be the disseminator of the information, you don't have to tell a lie about it. You just cut it out. Just, in other words, just cut that part and hook you out. And and you're so glad, people are so glad to get a record of what took place until they're happy to get what they can get. And then it comes out, you don't hear anything about there was somebody, you have some clues. When the battle was going on for the conquest of America by the English, what do you call it, the colonialists, whatever you call them, George Washington people, they said, Admiral Perry on the Great Lakes, Lake Erie it was, one of the shallowest lakes up there, said, do not fire until you can see the whites of their eyes. Who he was referring to were the Moors. They had an outright gun battle on ships on the Great Lake, on Lake Erie, when this admiral, famous admiral, made that statement. Do not fire until you can see the whites of their eyes, because the Moors had big eyes and they came, and so just when you close to see the eyes, then you can fire. You have ammunition to waste. You know, if we save the ammunition, if you can't see the whites of his eyes, thing ain't gonna hit him no how. You know, but the guns were crude in those days, and so.
So they were black.
Yeah. They were black with white eyes. And they don't fire until you can see the whites of their eyes.
Big jigaboo eyes. Buggy goose eyes.
And so, but anyway, this is one of the clues that the man said that had reference. They're referring to that battle on the Great Lakes. They're going to fight the Moors up there. And but it's been a bunch of people fighting for this land. But people will pick out the group that they can identify with and promote that. So that's why I'm a little different than some. I do it like this. I see it as, who is that? Monty?
One of your granddaughters,
yeah. Hey, Monty, how you doing? Okay. Ahlan, what's Ahlan? Zig Habibi, how me bad feet. Anyway, I do it this way. I see myself as an outside observer.
Mm-hmm.
To record what I can pick up
mm-hmm.
for the benefit of my people back home, wherever that's at. And I'm not get involved and get emotional about this thing and lose my objectivity because I like to identify with certain people. No, I might want to do that, but I can't do it in what I write. I got to write what I see. And, you know, I mean, this is how I look at it. And so now, sometimes
like what, 1960s when you heard of Nibiru and the Nation of Islam? Was that, what year was that?
Somewhere in that time.
1960s?
1960s.
So the Nation of Islam, they actually knew something else. They call it Nibiru.
Hello.
They didn't just say the mother plane, they said Nibiru.
You use that term, mother plane, and mothership, with auxiliary ships around it, smaller one, and some of the capabilities. To try to recall this stuff now has been a long time, man. But anyway, some of the fantastic stuff was they could bore a hole in the ground.
Yeah, I remember that.
So 1 mile down or something, and a bunch of them could do that, and then they could detonate, and you don't want to be there when that happens. And the thing was developed here on Earth, and somewhere in the Japanese islands in the Pacific, and they had a regular patrol schedule, and I don't know, I can't remember that part of it anyway, what the patrol schedule was. And if you got too technical with him. He said, you know, brother, you have a lot of things here on this earth that you can handle better than you handle this stuff up there.
Okay.
So let's move our conversation back to where it's practical.
So everybody didn't want to talk about it, with just certain people that want to talk about it.
Right.
So
some people didn't want to do it. Didn't want to talk about
so this minister you met that started talking about it, what was his name?
Benjamin Kareem.
Benjamin Kareem.
Yes.
And then he's the one that mentioned Nibiru.
Right.
So
Nibiru was the planet that somebody came from that I didn't understand at the time. But there were some advanced beings who had been here, and some of them were still here. They had conferences certain times to determine what the world would be like from that point on. And they looked like ordinary people. They did not need any security because nobody could point them out. They were not outstanding.
So they could actually walk around amongst us and we're not
right,
even...
you wouldn't know. And I remember talking about this stuff, and I'm trying to think if they had a name for them, but they wasn't Anunnaki.
Yeah, wasn't Anunnaki?
They would not. I didn't hear that. If they did, I didn't hear that.
Okay.
But here's what I was led to believe to my own sensitivity was that Master Farad Muhammad was one of them.
Came from you just figured it out that Master Farad Muhammad was
yes, and nobody
Anunnaki.
Right. I wasn't one of those people that you were referring to didn't use the name because I hadn't heard the name myself at that time. And there's another one. I said Master Farad Muhammad, W.D. Farad. There's two of them.
So W.D. Farad and Master Farad were two different people.
Right.
That was your understanding.
Some people. I kept my mind to myself. I kept my thoughts to myself on certain things that didn't coincide with what everybody was teaching. I still reserved the right to hold my own thoughts. And so, Master Farad Muhammad and W.D. Farad were two different people, according to Abdul.
Okay.
Why? Because when you hear the man talk about him, one did one thing, would do something, but the other one would do something else. Or would say something else, not at the same time and place, but he would talk about, and I figured that as I advanced in the lessons, that this mystery would be cleared up. And so I didn't finish the whole course. And so, but some people knew, I guess, but to ask them something that was beyond my ability to comprehend, they didn't feel obligated to give me the answer. And the answer was given according to what you covered in the book and by the lessons. And so if you didn't cover your lessons, you just wanted something to talk about that had no meaning to you. And so they push it off to something else.
So this brother Benjamin Kareem, he had a sort of special relationship with Dr. Farad Muhammad. You think?
Yes, I think he did.
You think he did?
The reason I think he did because the reason that he was so far above the rest of the brothers, I say far beyond, because his knowledge or his exposure had been beyond what theirs had been. He wasn't necessarily old as some of them, but some had been, he might have been chosen to impart certain things to. And so after the breakup of all of that, Nation of Islam and all this, and reorganized and all this, Master Farad Muhammad came to Brother Benjamin Kareem.
Okay.
And
so how long ago was that?
That was That was about 15 years ago.
Okay.
Somewhere around 15 years ago.
So Dr. Farrar came to Benjamin about 15 years ago.
Yes.
About 1995.
And stayed at his house, met his family, and left just like he came.
Just like he came. Mystery man.
Right. And his wife is excited about it today. Benjamin was dead, of course. And she said that she should look at him, and she recognized him from the picture. And I'd like to get off this subject a little bit.
Okay, go ahead.
And Benjamin asked her to take me to meet somebody else.
Okay.
There's a mysterious figure to me.
Okay.
She was jogging in the park one morning. Not one morning, but a few mornings. And this man was observing her. And he approached her. Said, "Don't be alarmed, lady. I have something important to talk to you about." And I could recognize the difference between you and you're not just anybody. I can recognize you. This is what, and we need to talk about this. And she let the man talk. And said, "I got to meet your husband, because I got to get you to my house. You're to my house." And she said, "Okay, he's at work. And will you be in this evening?" And I'll tell him about what you said. And Benjamin, being who he is, he went for it. And those are caught about the throat. "The woman, you've been talking to these strange men, and he cut your hair off." Anyway, but he went there, and his name was Brother James Ill.
James Ill. That's the brother that she met?
Yeah.
James Ill.
James Ill. This is one that after she met Master Farad Muhammad.
James Ill met Master Farad Muhammad?
I don't know. After she had met...
after she met Farad Muhammad, she met James Ill. Okay,
I met him.
You met James Ill?
Yes. Okay. Brother James Ill talked about Atlantis and Lemuria and who he got it from. And he talked about America before it became a nation, and who occupied the land.
Okay. And
what their relationship was to some other stuff that I haven't connected with now.
It is more science.
Yeah. And he showed me a picture of Elijah Muhammad.
Okay.
Marcelina Manuel Braca. And Father Divine. On this picture, big picture. He pointed them out. These people studied together under Master Farad Muhammad.
Okay, Father Divine, Daddy Grace, and all those guys.
Yeah, Daddy Grace and his name was, because I didn't know what his name was. He told me.
Oh, Daddy Grace had a
His name, he was Portuguese descent, and his name was Manuel Marcelino Braca. Graca.
That was Daddy Grace.
Daddy Grace. That's what he cut it down to, because most of the people wouldn't say it. They did Daddy Grace. Okay, but he told me what the man's name was when he was a student under Master Farad Muhammad.
Okay, Daddy Grace was.
Yes.
A student.
And he's from New Bedford, Massachusetts. And but then he set up temples all over the country. You know, all around, you know, and The thing that impressed me mostly about this brother James Hill was he said, if you notice, all of these guys did not put a high value on spiritualism.
They didn't?
Yeah, he said, if you notice it, they didn't put a high value on spiritualism as we do it in this country today as black folk. He said, those guys, he said, because, what's his name, the man, call his name, Master Farad Muhammad. Yeah, he didn't do it either.
Okay.
They talked about practical stuff. They had something, you know, that, and it all happened in 1930, in that area, in that time frame there. And also, he talked about, this is James Hill, he talked about Noble Drew Ali.
Okay.
And Moorish science.
Okay.
Moorish scientist.
Okay.
Okay. And we went into a lot of stuff because I aggravated him to death. And once Benjamin and his wife introduced me, I just go there until he almost told me, get away. I don't have no thing else.
He's trying to find out.
And but I asked him about that, and he told me about the Moroccans and their influence into this land that we call the United States. That was most interesting to me.
Okay.
And what was meant about cutting down the cherry tree. How people used to write and talk in code and keep truth hidden. This was mostly communication between George Washington and his father.
Okay. About cherry tree.
Yes. And he said it wasn't a cherry tree. It was a tree that was on the flag of the Moroccans.
Okay.
When they finally defeated the Moroccans.
Oh, so that was the code that they had defeated the Moroccans.
Defeated the Moroccans, and that meant that the Moroccans had to relinquish this land called North America to George Washington and his group.
Okay.
This happened between the time that we did not have a constitution here.
What period was that?
Between 1776 and 1789.
Okay, so that's that period they said they had the first black president, John Hanson, and all that kind of thing.
Now, Henry, you know what Morocco is, right? Morocco? What is it?
It's a country on West Africa. It's on the hump of Africa.
In other words, blacks were here.
Blacks were here.
At the time and before George Washington conquered this land for the English.
Blacks was in America?
In America, yeah.
Yeah, before slavery. Before slavery, we know it. And we knew it. Before